Hello, everyone, and welcome to another backstage interview from the Metals Investor Forum. I'm Gwen Preston of Resource Maven, and I'm joined by Chad Peters of Ridgeline Minerals. So, Chad, I think what I want to start with is it's easy to forget that Ridgeline has actually only been a public company for 5 months, and I think it's easy to forget because you've got a slew of projects and you've been busy at a bunch of them and so much has been developing and you've delivered a discovery. And so, yeah, it's easy to forget that you did all that in a short period of time. So I kind of want to just, go over all three projects or all three types of opportunity that you're pursuing so we can wrap our heads around this still very new opportunity. So which one do you want to start with? You choose a project.
Well, it's been a long 5 months. It's felt like a long 5 months.
Longest ever.
So I think you can break it down into three different categories for our projects, right? We have Selena, which is an oxide open pit play. Swift is turning out to be a really exciting, deeper, high-grade target with really exciting potential, which we defined in our phase 1 program. And then Carlin-East and Bell Creek, you can almost look at them a bit like lottery tickets. We still think like we want to get out and drill Carlin-East this year, and we can start with that one. But Carlin-East and Bell Creek are right beside the Gold Strike and Leeville mines. So what's the reason we didn't drill those two projects in 2020 was Barrick started drilling adjacent to the boundaries of our project in mid to late Q3. We're going to let those assays come out. They've already announced a new discovery between Leeville and the Carlin-East project. So only a couple kilometers south of our project, they just drilled 21.3 meters of 35 grams per ton gold. So that's a world-class drill intercept. They're continuing to drill north towards our project boundary. So we're just going to let them keep drilling. And then Bell Creek, they're drilling 200 meters off the edge of our boundary, and those results I'd expect in February. So those kind of projects, like one good hole on the edge of our project at either one of those sites, and it's a game changer for the company. So those guys are very kind of hurry up and wait, but very exciting. Swift, tons of exploration potential. We're really excited there. And then Selena is a brand new discovery that's looking like it has pretty incredible scale. So I think it's a good story.
For sure. I mean, it's so interesting. Those lottery ticket ones, they're like, nothing happening, but it'll be nothing until it's very exciting if that's what develops, right? So it's kind of an interesting one for you to talk about because you're not in control of when the data comes, but they're drilling deep holes that would be very expensive to drill and that will provide a lot of information just as soon as they release it, which they sort of do quarterly. So patience is a virtue.
Yeah, I mean, those kind of deep holes really de-risk our project because they put a cross-section out and go, here's the way this fault's dipping. Well, that same fault dips across our project. So that allows us to better target our own stuff. And Carlin-East has incredible potential from a geologic scale, but I'm not going to rush drilling there when I can glean more information for free out of Barrick, right? So it's kind of we'll wait. I'd love to be drilling that project middle of this year. We just got to wait for those results to come out, so.
Okay, and let's look at the other deep targets since we're talking about sort of deep, rich targets. That's what the lottery ticket ones are. That's what Barrick's drilling is deep, rich gold targets. And so Swift is also that for you. And you guys did drill at Swift this year. So let's catch us up on what the story is at Swift and what you did.
Yeah, so we put, what we put out in our phase 1 results for us was very exciting from a technical perspective, right? In the sense that, and you hear that all the time, this was a technical success. But it really was for us because there'd never been a hole drilled in this Fallen City target area in the history of the project. There hadn't been any drilling on the project for over 25 years. So our first step was to come in, prove the geologic model that we thought we could hit shallow Wenban formation and Roberts Mountain, which are the two key host rocks in the Cortez Trend. So there's 35 million ounces of current reserves and resources that are in NGM's hands across 4 different mines to the southeast of us. We're right on trend of that. The only difference is the Wenban had never been drilled before at our project. So we came in, we drilled Wenban, proved that, okay, the right host rocks are here. They're altered. We're not getting a lot of high grade material, but we did hit, narrow intercepts of up to 0.2 grams gold, 860 grams silver. So it shows that there's an active hydrothermal system here. And now the step is we've proven we got the right rocks. They're shallower than previously expected. So about 450 meters is where that target starts. And on either side of the target, we have known gold intercepts. So to the east of our Fallen City target is the Goat Anticline, which is a 6-kilometer anticline that hasn't had one hole on it yet. There's an open pit gold mine at surface, the Elder Creek mine sitting right there. Then you go 1.5 kilometers to the west of our drill holes and you have a known drill intercept drilled in 1999 by Phelps Dodge that hit 17 meters of 0.7 in the right host rocks. So you look at that and you go, okay, we know where we are now. We need to be stepping away from this high heat and targeting the wind band formation along especially the goat anticline target. I mean, if we can hit wind band out there, that would be a huge win for us.
So what kind of scale of program do you envision doing at Swift over 2021? Because there's a lot of potential there, and it's going to take some honing in yet to find where the fire might be, right?
I'd kind of like to see, like these things, like our discovery at Selena took 3 phases of drilling, 22 holes. You never want to like go out and just drill 15 holes straight off the hop, right? Because it's tough, because you need to be able to assess the data coming in and change your focus accordingly. So we drilled these 3 holes. I'd like to start out with another 3 to 5 hole program. Now stepping out into these known targets, now that we kind of know the zonation of the system and where we want to be targeting. So start with that and hopefully do a couple phases of drilling, maybe as much as 10 holes or something like that to really give it a proper test.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, now let's move on to the other. So, I mean, interesting for investors to try and understand the value at Ridgeline. So you have these lottery tickets, which are what they are until they're suddenly exciting, if that's what happens with Barrick and potentially your work following. Then there's Swift, which similar, except that it's your work that's advancing it. It's sort of like you say, technical successes, the market doesn't really care about them. So it's not that exciting until perhaps it gets very exciting if it works, right? And that's the exploration hunt. And then there's Selena. So Selena is a very different target in that it's near surface, so it's not deep blind searching, and you're well into the exploration and discovery process there. And it's not deep gold, it's shallow oxide silver. So like a totally different thing.
Yeah, it's a weird, we went into Selena looking for a gold deposit and we came out with a silver discovery. So it is what it is. We're not going to, we still see incredible value there. And it's a silver rich Carlin type system. It outcrops at surface. It's oxidized and, it's silver rich, but there is a gold kicker to it. So on average, we're getting, anywhere from 30 to 60 grams per ton silver over wide intercepts, with 0.25 to 0.3 grams per ton gold within that same. So, our average zone now, you're talking, 25 to 40 meters thick, starts at surface, goes all the way for a kilometer to the west down a gently dipping bed within the rock unit. And, we're seeing incredible continuity. And what really excites us about it is we've rock chipped up to 15 grams gold and 1,500 grams silver in the same host rocks and other target areas on trend of this thing. So we know there's high grade potential on this project. We've actually drilled 3 meters of 830 grams silver equivalent. Less than 100 meters below surface oxide. So you start looking at that and going, okay, we got this widespread ore body, probably shouldn't call it ore yet, widespread deposit or mineralized zone. And within that, there's some really high grade cores to it. So we're going to be focusing on growing that in 2021. So continuing to show that it can expand and show scale, while also trying to kind of focus in on drilling some of these high grade intercepts, which will materially change any kind of potential economics if this thing were to move to the next stage of, resource and then all the different economics that get applied to it. We'd want to see that there's a high grade core to kind of get it started.
Yeah. And let's just, I know we chatted about this at the MIF itself, but I think it's sort of an important wraparound for Selena, which is putting a silver oxide zone deposit, whatever word you want to use, in Nevada into context. So what does it need to look like? We don't think of silver oxide in Nevada, so it's not familiar for a lot of people.
That's a really good point, because when we first started looking at it, we didn't even really know exactly what a silver deposit looked like in Nevada, right? Like we knew what a deep high grade zone looks like. You need thousands of ppm or thousands of gram per ton silver usually to make something pay for an underground deposit. But what does it look like when it's sitting on surface? And so we went and did some research, and the Core Rochester mine's a great example. It's a shallow open pit. It starts right at surface, so very low strip. And that average silver grade in that is head grade life of mine on the 200 million ounce ore body is about 15 grams per ton silver and 0.09 grams per ton gold. So incredibly low grade. So you can kind of see what makes money in Nevada is not the same as what makes money in the Yukon or, elsewhere, right? Like you can mine incredibly low grade material. So that got us excited because, what we're drilling starts at surface. It's multiples of that grade. Typically we're seeing more in the range of 0.2 grams gold and 30 to 60 grams per ton silver. So, silver equivalents of 70 to 90 grams per ton. And even our last intercept that we just announced today, hole 22, that stepped out 300 meters to the west of known mineralization and 600 meters north of our discovery hole. That hole still hit 40 meters of 19 grams per ton silver equivalent. So pretty much right in the same range as what you see at Core Rochester. So we're seeing, pretty, we didn't realize you could mine silver at that low of a grade in Nevada, but it just comes down to getting enough ounces and good metallurgy.
And so on enough ounces, I mean, that hole that you just described that you released today, you did a big step out to get to that hole. There were some challenges with core recovery, and so the grade may be underreported. We'll see when you do some follow-up core drilling, but big step outs and then filling in that space. I mean, that's the main focus at Selena right now, right? To try and get a sense of just how big this thing is.
Yeah, an open pit, you at the end of the day, an open pit isn't going to fly if you can't show that it has considerable scale to it, right? You need to move tons of low grade material to actually make it work. What we're seeing is showing that scale. You're going to have high grade in the zone, you're going to hit low grade, and you're going to miss in some points. And that's what it takes to define the extent of an ore body. So that's what we're going through. We were starting to go through in phase 3, and we'll really expand on that in our program this spring, try to grow it. One thing that my VPX brought up this morning, it was pretty interesting, is he said, you realize that between hole 21 to the south and hole 22 to the north, it's a 600-meter step out. He said, you can fit the entire Alligator Ridge ore body, which was over 1 million ounces of gold open pit, 10 kilometers to the west. You can fit that entire ore body between those 2 drill holes. So you start looking at that, you start looking at that scale and you go, okay, yeah. So, maybe this hole had slightly lower grade, but look at the scale. Like, it's showing that this thing can grow. And I think as we infill and step out, it's going to get more exciting.
Exciting. Cool. Well, I certainly look forward to keeping up with all the various projects and progresses from Ridgeline as you enter the second half of your first year as a publicly traded company.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking us through it all.
No, thanks, Gwen. I appreciate it.